Where are our kids getting their political information? Hey, where are they getting any of their information, right? Teenagers in politics, parenting in politics, next gen leaders and politics. Wow, this is an important discussion, and especially right now. We must make it a point as a parent or youth leader to have an understanding of the times and to know what to do about that, especially as it relates to politics and especially right now. The more you are able to discuss social issues and politics with young people, the more able you will be to engage all of your students, all of your children in this conversation. So it takes leaders understanding the issues and understanding the conversation so that we can guide this generation. Listen, YouTube cannot be the preferred platform for our children to get their information, right? I mean, think about this. The presidential debate that just took place between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, live on television, and what may have been the single most watched political moment recently. In some ways, this marked the official beginning of the 2024 presidential election. Well, then everything changed just a few weeks ago, right? With the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, and then the withdrawal of Joe Biden from the 2024 presidential race. And now, as we head into the Democratic Party convention, Kamala Harris is the new presidential hopeful to run against Donald Trump, and each have chosen their VPs. So these events and what is going on in the timing of the political landscape in election 2024 right now in America have given parents and leaders an important responsibility. Figuring out how to talk to youth about politics and interesting political figures and political events and current affairs. Listen, here are some tips I've learned working with students over the past 40 years, okay? This might help you keeping this in mind when we talk about important topics. Number one, it is going to be uncomfortable, and that's okay. It's kind of like the sex talk, right? The relationship talk. In our conversations with students and children about politics, you have to pick sides, and that becomes uncomfortable in our culture. Maybe your kids feel differently than you do. Too often, parents and leaders try to avoid these issues because it's uncomfortable. But we cannot avoid conversations, important conversations. It's a big mistake. We may have real fear as parents or youth leaders that if we speak to current affairs, then we will be considered unqualified or worse, politically incorrect. Maybe we feel like we're going to be canceled, not just by our children, but by our friends. However, if we don't speak about these issues as parents and youth leaders, where are adolescents going to get their information? They need to know the truth, and they need to hear it from people they trust. So put aside the uncomfortability and have the conversation. Second, the process to process this election and every issue, that we should be processing this with a diverse group of people. There is a university of learning in diverse relationships. One of the things that I have tried to do with young people is to get them processing their thoughts and their feelings with a broad spectrum of people, and especially across generations, right? That's a university of learning for them. Why is this so important? Primarily because there's so much that we can learn from each other. It also helps reveal the truth, including inconsistencies in worldviews, right? Political worldviews or religious worldviews. Otherwise, groupthink can take over and it can influence political behavior rather than the truth. And I want to hear both sides, all sides of the discussion, right? All right, number 3, treat every person and their views with respect. Sometimes, especially in a democratic society where we have free speech, even in our own home, we can have differing viewpoints. Even so, it is important to respect each other. If we can feel that we aren't compromising our views because we're being respected, that's a powerful perspective to have. A political perspective that will be able to be shared, a religious perspective that can be shared because I'm not intimidated. I know I'm going to be respected. Maybe you want to get your point across or correct somebody or make a statement right after somebody says something to you about a certain issue or topic. Well, do it with respect. It's okay. Have the conversation, but we must teach young people to treat everyone with respect and to listen to the opinions of others and keep the relationship and conversation going. Listen, I learned a valuable lesson many years ago that I would never lose a friendship just to win an argument. Right? Think about that. I don't want to win arguments and lose friendships. I believe that we can have both the argument and the relationship, holding strongly to our beliefs by respecting people. And there's been so much division and so much disunity in our conversations lately. We need to bring that respect back. I believe that it's okay to agree to disagree. Some people have bad ideas, but it doesn't make them a bad person, right? So enjoy the conversations with respect. Listen, number 4, listen to young people. Every parent and youth leader must learn to listen first. When young people are given the chance to talk first, it will help guide the whole conversation. And often you'll be surprised at the sophistication or the views, right, that young people have, or they're able to communicate. You may also be surprised how they think differently than you, and that's okay. Oftentimes, too, we will see that they don't know what they believe in, and it will help us guide the conversation. If you speak first, you may not give them the permission, the opportunity to say what they really think. So listen to young people. Listening helps parents and leaders make a plan on the kind of content, the kind of guidance, right, that we want to give them in our future conversations with them. Those conversations that we have, if we listen, will reveal our response. Listen, many times I have been the learner talking to young people. You ought to try it. I think we have under-challenged them and they understand more than we think. These conversations on difficult topics are what has motivated many parents and leaders to leave their own comfort zone and to engage in the political process. Make sure to ask simple questions in order to give teenagers permission to challenge their beliefs and what they are hearing. Asking questions will get them processing critical thinking, right? And not just thinking critical. It will help them go against the tide, right? Of just hearing pop opinion. Now we're getting them into critical thinking and not just pop opinion. When young people are given the opportunity to speak, to talk about important political or social issues, here's another thing that happens. It helps them release anxiety and confusion and even fear of not understanding what's going on in their world, or that they're not being heard on how they feel about what's going on in their world. Youth need to know that their views are important. Young people are opinionated and they want to process their beliefs through talking. And it really helps if we can keep some of these simple guidelines or principles in our conversations with them on all kinds of topics, not just politics, but economy and sexuality and religion, right? So listening. All right. Hey, listen, finally, politics is important, but there is more to life than politics. I'm pretty sure most of us agree with that. We must make it more important than it is. In some ways, we just dismiss it and we don't want to talk about it. It is important, especially in a democratic society, and we live in a free country that has given us the freedom to choose a party, to choose a platform, to choose a candidate in an election. But looking at the frenzy around our elections right now in America, it may seem unhealthy, right? It may seem that culture is divisive and unfocused when it comes to morality, right? Helping students see that there is more to life than these politics and the government and all the stuff that's going on will help them focus on the day-to-day implications of politics. Not the infighting and the election, rhetoric, but the implications actually of the real issues. Getting them issues focused, right? Listen, every 4 years we hear the same thing. This is the most important election of our lifetime. Let me say it again. I believe every election is the most important election in our lifetime. Listen, finally, we need to teach young people that politics is a way they can make a difference in the world. It's a way they can change the world that worries them. Young people can make the difference, but they need to learn the truth about politics from the people they trust. Here's a crazy idea. Let me give you a practical idea as we close. Why not have a watch party for the presidential debates that are coming up with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, right? Why not have a watch party at your home for your kids' friends, and then that will guide them in a conversation about how Kamala Harris feels and how Donald Trump feels about these issues, right? How each party and each platform feels. I believe healthy political conversations can take place between parents and leaders and young people over the next few months if we simply apply these principles. All right. So, hey, best to you in your conversations with young people in the next few weeks. I hope this helps. Check out all of our work. All you got to do is go to the link tree in our socials, and you can watch this on YouTube, listen to this on the iTunes podcast, or you can read the manuscript at our website, youthology.com.